Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you a VA streamline and how to set it up in Calyx Point and how to kind of complete it from start to finish. And this would be for a web application, and I'm going to use this as our test example, Mr. Sample Test. And we're just going to go through the steps of how you would do a VA IRRRL. So at the beginning, you get your borrower on the phone. The borrower is going to say, "Hey, Mr. Borrower, how much do you currently owe against your property?" And so the borrower says, "Well, we owe about $223,500. Okay, Mr. Borrower, what is your current interest rate that you're currently paying right now? Well, we're currently paying 4.5%. Okay, well, great, Mr. Borrower. So you know that you're just going to plug in right now $223,500. You're going to see the note rate at 4.5% for now, and it becomes time to where you need to pull their credit, assuming that I know we have credit scores here for this example, but however, if you do not know, you will come up here to Services, Credit Reports, Request Credit. And during this, your credit is going to pull up. You'll select out Credit Plus as our credit vendor, and then hit Submit. Now, this would normally be your current credentials to log into Credit Plus, but when we do these VA IRRRLs, it is imperative that you contact Diane Bowie. She'll be your primary point of contact to set your computer up to be able to pull credit applications through Calyx Point. So once again, call in to Diane Bowie and she will assist you with getting that set up. So once you've ordered credit, it will come back in and your credit will start to populate. And the only liability that we need in a VA IRRRL is just the mortgage. So when you get the pop-up, it's going to ask you, you're going to take all of the other debts and just ignore them and leave just their mortgage. Their mortgage will then populate, and at that time, what you'll do is you will come into this section and just put your mark in showing that you're going to be paying off that mortgage. So the mortgage shows up, the balance is $223,500. So what we're going to do for this case scenario, you're also going to then scroll down here slightly, keep it in the same field to where you can see them both, and double click on your REO section. That way you can kind of read off of your information up to the top. So you're just going to plug in, for those of you that do not know, this is sold, pending sale, and rental, so you'll leave that blank. You'll determine what type of property that it is. You'll ask your borrower. So your borrower says single family residence. You're going to find out what that borrower owes, but you're just going to copy this. Copy. You're going to come back online and you'll pull it up in Zillow, which is going to provide you a whole bunch of different information that you're going to need throughout the loan process. One of the more valuable pieces of information is right here, where it shows price history. You need the tax history on this property. So even though that your borrower may have homesteaded within this past year, it doesn't mean that they may get a higher taxes and for one more year, depending on when they filed for their homestead. So we have to disclose by this amount. So you're going to take that number there and, of course, divide it up by 12, and that will show up under your payment. So that's our $566. You'll then ask your borrower, well, what do you pay on your declaration? Yes, I pay $1,200 a year, so you'll take that divided by 12. That's what gives you the $100. And if you need to find that your borrower, for whatever reason, is exempt from the VA funding fee, you would either take that off right here. Normally, we will 90% of the time disclose with a half-point funding fee in there, and then take it out once the borrower proves that he is exempt from the taxes, or we get a COE. So the next step, that you've now pulled credit, you did the REO section, and now you are going to go and continue with your application. Obviously, you're going to complete your declaration questions. And so right now, it comes a crucial point where we have to start to order title. And when you're wanting to order title, you're going to take, for this purpose, or for most purposes here in this state, we generally will add in about, I'd like to use about $7,000. Anytime that you increase it about $7,000, it doesn't matter at this point, because you're going to more than likely adjust that balance. And so for this purpose, we'll make this loan size $230,700, let's say. Okay. So the next step is to order out title. So you're going to come up here to interfaces, scroll down to disclosure fees, and then select Lodestar. Highlight that, select OK, and then launch Lodestar. Now you're going to get a pop-up which is going to ask you for our credentials, and I'll leave this up for a moment. It's quotes at obsidianmortgage.com, and our password is OBIRD22 explanation. OBIRD22 explanation with a capital O. The lender name is Obsidian_mortgage. Don't put a .com or it's not going to work. You have to capitalize each. Select login. So it should launch. And it's going to tell you to wait a moment, but it's okay. You can select out OK. Your loan estimate calculator pops up. Now notice it put the VA funding fee on there already. And we know from pulling on their credit that their balance was $223,500. So we'll just plug that in. And then our relationship is with Coast to Coast Title right now. You'll select out Coast to Coast Title and then hit calculate. Notice it will pull the fees, which is then going to be populated back to Calyx. You're now going to get another pop-up that will tell you to move forward. Select here yes. You can kind of select that little box there and that won't pop up in the future. But however, you're going to get where it says data has been pushed to Calyx. Once you get that, select that OK. And then just go ahead and close out that window. It will then pull the fees back into Calyx Point. And then you're going to come down here to Fees Worksheet. Once you open up the Fees Worksheet, there's a few crucial pieces of information. One of which, the date prepared. Obviously, we would use whatever today's date is, and then the intent to proceed. And you would select out that you've taken it by phone, and then the application date, and your estimated closing date. We're closing in about 2 weeks time frame right now. So at that point, you would say 2 weeks. And then, of course, as you know, we normally would skip a payment prior to the first payment becoming due. So that in this case, it would be September 1st. we have pre-populated your fees. The $695, what that does is it encompasses our underwriting fee and processing fee, and in addition to the credit report. So you're going to come down here. Notice the funding fee is automatically populated. Continue to scroll down, and you will see the coast-to-coast title fees. With these fees, we are going to need a copy of these fees. Now, this information, if you've selected your master template properly, will automatically be filled in. But so for this purpose, what I'm going to suggest is that you write down these fees just on a little sheet of paper or whatsoever, so you have them set aside. I'm going to take the time here. And then, so what you're going to need to do is scroll on down and double check your fees have been populated correctly. And if you set up your escrows properly, the 3 and the 9 will currently be in there. Pretty soon it's going to be a 10 for our state, because we're going to be in another month. So we have to collect for the appropriate amount of taxes. And so you will scroll down, and it looks like we're going to end up having to make an adjustment, but that's okay. As I had mentioned to you before, this could be either up or down. In this case, it looks like that it's off about $2,400. So what you would do is just go back to the borrower information screen, increase this up by $2,400. So looks like we have $233,800. I want to say. Let's see how close that was. Okay, I'm a little bit high, which is all right. Remember, we're going to still yet need a little bit of a payoff, so to their properties, and which could alter or change that amount anyway. So at this point, that's the thing with VA IRRRLs, is that we really don't know the very final loan amount until after we've ordered that payoff. So let's bring it down. I'll double check here, page 4. It's perfect. It's under $500. And so some of you, if you're new to Calyx, you may not have this information, or this particular information populated. So in order to put yourself in the drop-down button with other loan officers, what you need to do is go up here to Utilities, and then you're going to go to drop-down List, Originator, and then add yourself to this list. You'll select your add, put in your credentials, and then whichever state that you're licensed in, you'll select that, hit OK, and then you will be added to this list. So you'll close that out, and then suppose if you're, once again, if you're new to Calyx, you may need to get credentials for Obsidian Financial Services again. So you're going to go Utilities. This time you'll select out Company Defaults. You'll select out the company information. Fill out our company information. Of course, you will unselect Manual Enter Company Information on Forms. Select OK, and this will pre-populate. So most of the time, if you're on the master template but using Calyx for the first time, sometimes that information is not there. So we've adjusted our fees, we got our loan amount settled. Now our next step is to finally get to the point to where we're doing disclosures. So normally this information would be blank, okay, but our example has been set up. And so I'm going to show you how to get that information. And so you'll come back on up to your borrower information, copy your zip code, go back to the HEPA Ownership Counseling, select this link, it's a hyperlink, and that's going to open up a web browser. And you will drop that information right here, paste it in, and that's going to give you this list of counselors. You will then copy all of this information and then close it out and then paste it right here once you've copied it. Now, once you paste it, you're actually going to have question marks or so forth. You're going to want to delete out the question marks and make it look fairly neat as far as with your HEPA homeownership counseling notice. So we're still not done. We're still not completed with our loan. We need to do the written list of service providers. And as I mentioned to you before, there would be other things here because we had to list them out. If we use the master template, it will already have most of this information in it. All you will need to do is know your policy amount, and then we calculate the third checkbox from our fees worksheet. And so we'll populate that in if you're using the master template. So once you've completed this sheet, our very next most important document, scroll on down, is our FHA VA addendum. What's most important that you have the information from your borrower that you'll need to ask your borrowers in the section is right here 22A to 23. And that is if your borrower just moved into their property, it's been less than a year, you definitely have to have a full 2 years of residency information. So suppose they sold their property or whatever it is, in this case scenario for the test case, they did not, but please ask your borrowers this information. It's very important. So we are not still yet done. We're going to now finally go out to our VA fees. Now, the VA loan analysis fees, what is not going to be populated for you is this payment information. So, in that case, remember, we dropped the borrower down to a 3.75 rate, and then it's going to have, you're going to put in all of the payment information here, which should match on page 2 of your application. We do not need any information about the borrower's employment. Most of everything is going to be completed on that particular form. The loan or VA loan comparison form, you must ask your borrowers what what their current, that they had, your borrower told you that they had a 4.5% rate. Because what this is going to do is going to be almost a net tangible benefit to borrower, and we'll kind of explain to them what the recovery time is and that we reduce their payment by at least 20%. So the next form, certificate of eligibility form, please make sure you put your borrower's telephone numbers here. This one is blank. In addition to that, you'll need to check this box and this box. The first date is the date that they acquired this property. You'll kind of cut and paste the information. Okay, we'll cut and paste this and drop it down here. So you're going to need to complete this form of its entirety and continue on to the very next form. This section right here, we have been being dinged on, so please make sure to ask your borrowers their nearest relative information. We need their full address and their telephone number, and so nearest relative is imperative when you're filling out this document. The next section, of course, we'll have Obsidian Financial Services up here pre-populated for you. You've asked your borrowers these questions. Next section. Just keep moving down. We need most of the VA documents will be pretty much almost pre-populated. We need to know what branch of service that they were in. It's very important information. Of course, this is a refinance, VA IRRRL, VA fixed. Most of these will be pre-populated. Do you own ownership with a spouse or anybody else on title? No? Okay, well then put sole ownership. This information is strictly about appraisals. So the last document, now your file for your purposes is going to be ready for disclosure. Make sure if it's been under a year that you get a copy of the note, all pages, a copy of their driver's license, a copy of their payment coupon, a copy of their DD-214, so then that way we can order out the certificate of eligibility, and a copy of their homeowner insurance policy. So we need that information in order to proceed. Once you've submitted or are ready to submit your application, now you've saved it, you're ready to go, we need to get it disclosed, so you're going to go back online, and then you will go back to Obsidian Financial Services website. Scroll all the way down to the very bottom, and everything that you need to be, as far as that will help you, is right down here in this very bottom portion of Obsidian. So you'll select Processing, and you will enter in your borrower's information right here. So once you've filled this out as best that you can, you'll hit Submit, and then your processor will disclose your loan. So hopefully I've helped you with Calyx, and that if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. Once again, it's Michael Seely at 904-661-6535. Thank you so much for watching.